It's dun, 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 dun. It is 9:99 a.m. here in Los Angeles, and it is Thursday, the 26th of what should I do? Of June AD 2025, and we're gonna have Crishaun the Don on here. So if I go over to macros and I go to remote 100%, very nice. And if I go to nice. And I mean, I'm wearing a greenish shirt. I don't know if that has any. I don't know if it would happen or not. But anyway, shout out. We have Crishaun the Don here of the Misfit Nation, and let me do this. No. I'm such a boomer. Hold on, complicated business. Oh yeah, Studio 8. Nice. Oh, and so say again? You can AB if you want. I can do this, huh? Yep. Nice. And I can also do this. We disappear and we reappear. And yeah, so Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation is on, and since Crishaun is here, I have to disclaim everything that he says and everything that the angry guests say at him. And I'm kidding about saying since he's here, because I say it every day about everything. I don't even represent myself. So the views expressed on this show don't represent Bond or JLP or the network. And just because Bond and JLP were in the, the logo, the name, use of the names and all that stuff doesn't imply any endorsement nor like condemnation or opposition. We love YouTube. We love all these characters on the internet and in the public space and the private space. And we don't. And when we disavow all slander and libel and defamation and stuff like that, and and we also disclaim it too, because sometimes I say stuff. What? I don't know. I said that. That's not what I meant. Or maybe I meant it, but I didn't. If I were in my senses, I wouldn't. Anyway, you know. So we disclaim. And disclaiming is not necessarily disavowing, because it's not condemning necessarily. So whatever. Anyway, yeah.
It's fine. Don't mind the disclaimer.
Yeah. Hey.
By the way.
Yeah.
By the way, my name is Chris. I'm the actor that plays Crishaun the Don on the Misfit Nation podcast.
Very nice. Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation is with us, and he is a frequent guest now, a frequent guest / sort of a co-host sometimes, a la Big Bump. And we will be taking your calls. You can find Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation. Crishaun, Crishaun, the Don, Don, on X. And the Misfit Nation as a user and channel, but mainly user, on Rumble. They've migrated to Rumble, but they do still have the Misfit Nation podcast on YouTube, the Misfit Nation on Podbean. Check them out. Where else can they find you if there's anywhere else that I'm missing, Crishaun the Don?
Yeah, you pretty much covered all of it.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be covering different things, but some of the stuff I wasn't aware of. The Scofield Bible, I've heard of it. That's why the Christians love the Jews in Israel so much, sort of, I guess. I don't know. I've heard you guys in the chat say about it, the snake pit.
That's the theory.
And there's this competitor of mine, a black female, formerly known as Red Pill Black. That was way back. I wasn't aware of her at that point. Candace Owens, Candy. I don't know if she ever goes by Candy, but
now she just needs pills. You know what I mean?
Right on.
Something wrong with her.
She's a married mother. She married an Englishman, and has 4. How many children does she have now?
I think she has 4.
Yeah, wow.
The English know how to breed, man.
Good for them. I didn't know that about them. And so right on to him, I guess, and her for having the babies. But she's still out on the internet talking. I don't know. You do the math. And we'll talk about Iran, Israel, Trump, all that stuff. And we'll take your calls. You can call in 1-888-775-3773. And your super chats as well. buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report, or just if you go to thehakereport.com, you can super chat me. And let's say that people, Crishaun, want to find you or get a message to you. Do you have anything to that effect?
Just reach out to me on X
Nice.
at Crishaun the Don.
That's right. That's cool.
I try to keep it simple.
Yeah. Right on.
And I've cut off pretty much all other social media from my life. So
Understandable. It's good to simplify, I think. I'm still on like all these platforms, but I see people message me on IG, and don't get offended if I don't respond, because I'm so bad at all these. I should be more like Crishaun, maybe. But anyway, guys, let's just get right on with. Let me just turn this down, make just a touch, just to make sure. That may work. The show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. And I do have my protect your right. I wasn't even thinking of Crishaun necessarily. Shirt on. My protect your right shirt on, which is a NRA Second Amendment shirt. You can faintly see it's a rifle right here, and it says, you can barely see it. It says protect your right. Or defend your
shirt
right.
is problematic, Hake.
I know. That's the reason I bought it.
Nice.
Because I'm so edgy. Like 15 years ago or less, like 12, 15 years ago, I was listening to the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and they covered this story of this 12-year-old or so who was living down in the South, going to school, and he wore this very shirt, except his sleeves were cut off. And since it had a picture of a gun on it, it was less faded. He got kicked out of the school for refusing to change his shirt. Or, I don't know, he got suspended anyway, sent home. And it made the news, and I was like, forget these evil schools. They don't support the Second Amendment, and they demonize the NRA. This was before a lot of these mass shootings, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably before the 2012, I guess, Sandy Hook one. It was before, but it wasn't.
After Columbine, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like 2011, plus or minus a few years. And so I'm like, I'm gonna order that shirt and become a lifetime member of the NRA, multiple lifetime member of the NRA. Even though I know that the NRA is like oftentimes sort of rhino. There's Gun Owners of America may be better, but I do like Wayne LaPierre, big time. He's not with them anymore. Nor is that Charlton Heston guy, rest in peace. He was pretty good with the NRA. But they
Clint Eastwood, NRA.
Was he? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
But that's the story behind when I got this shirt. It's years and years old.
So it's kind of like part of your red pill history.
Yeah, it was a story heard on the JLP show back in the day when I was a listener but long before when I was just coming to Bond for church and not for and I wasn't a producer or anything. So that's the story. Sweet. So anyway, Crishaun, explain to us what's going on with Iran, Israel, USA.
It's pretty blanketed question, but
Right.
I mean, my thing is more of the like kind of how a lot of you know, the so-called Trump supporters that voted for Trump in the last election have really exposed themselves as, you know, being kind of just as panicky and you know, liars as the left wing. And I've been calling this out for a long time. So it's kind of like a thing of like where I'm like, okay, people are starting to see what I've been saying for a while, and not just me. There's other people that have been saying it, but I just think it's really interesting how you're seeing a lot of the MAGA party really fold and turn on Trump,
Yeah.
and a lot of big names that you wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't have expected. But yeah, I think Trump, there's a lot of people saying what he did was unconstitutional. That's not true. He didn't declare war. You can, you know, he only needs Congress's approval to declare war. He's allowed to deploy the military and do, you know, certain military actions as the president. And again, you're seeing it on both sides where even a lot of the right wingers who they're trying to not straight up lie, but they'll go like, well, there's a debate about that. And it's like, no, there's really not even a debate on that. It's like it's not unconstitutional. Trump didn't really do anything wrong. Now, I think it's interesting too, the whole thing of where Trump had the 12-day ceasefire, and then Israel kind of broke the ceasefire and bombed Iran, and Trump got really mad about that. It's almost a thing of where like Trump is almost playing the father in this whole thing.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like where even with Israel, he has to sometimes jump in and go like, what are you doing? What are you doing? We called this thing. I did this. You're making us look bad. You're making the family look bad. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I love how Trump has just been playing the father role in this whole thing, and he's doing it like remarkably. And he's not getting enough credit even from his own so-called supporters.
Yeah. There's this grandstander type of a guy named, I don't know if it's fair for me to characterize him that way, but Thomas Massey.
Yes.
Who I've liked. You know, I mean, he came off as a little nerdy, but, you know, he would present his family with guns, and I'm like, okay, it's showy, but whatever. Talking about triggering the left and stuff. And he had a good interaction with Jamal Bowman, a ridiculous person who's against whites, against guns, and pretends like he's for blacks, but he's for black victimhood, so he's against blacks too. And so this guy is pretty conservative, seemingly, and supposedly principled, but he's sort of showboaty about it. And he's saying, oh, it's not constitutional. And so I sort of scoff at him. There have been many presidents doing the same thing that Trump has done, and they've been getting away with it. Is it possible that it is unconstitutional, but because of all this precedent of them doing it and nobody else doing anything about it, he figured he can do it?
No, I don't think it is unconstitutional. Like I think you can maybe debate it on certain things. What Trump did is he followed it like sort of by the letter, even more, because he could have stayed there longer, or when we were still there, but he could have kept bombing longer than he did. He stopped, and that's where we get into the whole thing about, because I was listening to Jesse's show a little bit before, and they were
Did you
talking
hear Bill
about,
Lockwood on him?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
You should listen to the first hour of JLP's show today, because Bill Lockwood loves Trump and says that Israel is an ally, and he says that was unconstitutional, but the Democrats, of course, do not care about the Constitution. They just hate Trump. They never cared about the Constitution. But he talked a lot about interventionism, and it was very interesting. So check that out. But yeah, go ahead.
I don't understand the, especially the right wing side of this, where it's like, I guess it's the isolationists that just don't want us involved in anything. But it's a weird thing where they're angry that Trump actually used our military for the sort of the purpose that it exists. You know what I mean? And I just don't get that, because then they're also even putting this thing where they're speaking for, the military servicemen, where they're going, they're being sent out there to die, and and it's like they're coming back traumatized. Do you not think that these people sign up and they know what they're doing?
Right.
That's kind of part of it.
They're not babies.
They're not babies, and that's why we respect them.
And it's not like we haven't been going to wars that many people think, probably rightly, are ridiculous. I'm granted, an 18-year-old who goes into the military doesn't necessarily know much, but we've been hearing, it's not like it's a secret that a lot of these wars are very unpopular and are very traumatizing to many, because people are just weaker nowadays. And so they're treating the military like mamas. They're mamaing the military people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where we can maybe get into the Candace thing, where she I don't know if you have the clip or you're going to play it, but
I don't.
You don't? All right. No, we don't have to. But she basically encouraged, military men and women to get dishonorably discharged, so that they don't have to go and fight if there does a war does come about in Iran, which I don't think it's going to. I don't think Iran wants anything to do with a war with us.
Right.
If you look at it too, and they've been wrong about pretty much everything on this whole thing, where they go, oh, well, Iran and China or not Iran, Russia and China are going to get behind Iran and this and that. And then it turns out Putin called Trump to see if he needed help with the Iranians. He does not want war with us either.
Right.
If you actually looked into what our military is capable of, you would not be scared whatsoever of a war with Iran.
Yeah.
That's why
because people say that China and Russia support Iran. But
I don't think so, as much as they claim.
Yeah, and maybe not as much though. And especially with a guy like Trump, who's reasonable and presents clearly that he wants to make a deal with Russia, with the Ukraine thing, with China, and with Iran, and with he wants to make peace, but he's not afraid of putting the smack down.
The way I see it from my non-educated point of view, on the whole thing, is because I think it's more Iran is their plan C, not even plan B. You know what I mean? Where they'll use them for certain things. But if let's get into the whole pack thing, right? In America, because this is all going to connect, I promise you. Where they go, okay, Israel has AIPAC, right? AIPAC,
right?
Where they lobby in America for all this stuff, and the claim from the Groypers and the claim from people like Candace Owens is that no other country in the world has this kind of power and lobbying power in America,
right? Which
is completely a lie. It's just false. Israel doesn't even have the biggest pack in America. The biggest pack in America is China, at $456 million or something like that, which is I think 3 times more than Israel's.
So it is the Chi-Coms.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I think the funny thing is that it's why would China really have that? If they're trying to lobby and put that much money into America, then why would they really risk any kind of thing to work with Iran? Now they may be doing things behind, under the table or, stuff like that. Sure. Yeah, obviously.
Right.
And of course, China has spies in our country. They're not looking out for our well-being either.
They don't have as many dual citizen politicians in our country as Israel has, though.
I don't know.
Oh, I think so.
I mean, maybe
I
you
don't
might
know
be
any
right.
tiny. I mean, I know local Chinese politicians, but I'm talking about like on the big stage.
Yeah,
There's
definitely.
a lot of
Definitely.
There's a lot of Jewish American Israeli politicians, and then there's a lot of Christians who are supportive of Israel generally.
Yeah, but what
Fake
exactly
Christians
is
and real
that
ones.
like? What does that mean though? Because my thing is always meritocracy.
Right.
Like if they won
They're the
those
cream of the crop. They
positions,
rise
you
to the
know,
top.
yeah, it's like maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why they most of them are lawyers and
Right.
doctors or
They're
whatever. Like
clever. They know how to they know how to finagle themselves into influence.
one thing.
Yeah, go
One
ahead.
thing, if you actually looked into, because a lot of people will go, well, what do we actually get from Israel out of
Okay.
this whole thing? Really, and there's a whole list of things you can go through, but most of it is really like their innovation. Like the Jews are very innovative. The
Oh,
Israelis, they're very innovative in what they like microprocessors and stuff like that for computers. They basically developed and researched and innovated all of that. Like what we're doing right now, where we can have high speed, connections and talk, all the way across the country, and you can live stream that to an audience. That's all Israeli technology that they shared with us, that they
nice.
basically, yeah, they developed for us.
Uh,
So
did
it's like just name something that that any Islam country has ever done on that level. Just that
right.
one thing.
Yeah, no, not good. I mean, they did algebra.
Yeah,
Islam
like
invented algebra, right? I heard.
I hear it
Which,
was actually.
oh, go ahead.
I hear it was somebody. It was like who were their slaves
I
at
don't
that
know.
point?
The blacks,
Yeah,
the whites, maybe it was the
wasn't it
whites.
like Greeks or something like that?
I know that the Barbary, there were like some pirates who enslaved Americans, I thought.
I heard it was
But that was
the
before. That was
it
after
was
algebra.
yeah, it was the slaves that invented
Algebra.
algebra. I don't know.
Really?
That could be a bunch of nonsense.
I
That
mean,
does
but
sound
hey,
like
who fed the slaves? The Muslims.
yeah. So by proxy,
They might have
they
castrated
invented.
them. Okay. And didn't Jews or was it Jews or was it Germans who created the A bomb for America?
It was Oppenheimer, who I think was I don't know.
Oppenheimer, Einstein. There was a whole team of them. The
Yeah,
Manhattan
maybe they were
Project.
Jewish.
No, not Manhattan. I don't know, but okay, all right. So
Well, didn't
they
the
apply
Nazis
themselves.
have Jews working for them too?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah,
I believe so.
like Soros, I believe, worked for the Nazis, right?
He did. He helped get the stuff from the Jews' houses or something like that. I
He
don't know.
was the Jew hunter.
In Hungary.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so it is interesting when you focus on something. It seems important, and it seems more important than it actually is, and that happens to people. That happened to that gal who went crazy, Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg. She's
Thunberg.
autistic, they say, or has Asperger's, and those people in particular, just like the rest of us, but maybe more, get hyper focused on something, and it becomes the most important thing in their imagination.
Yeah, and then you can literally you
They think
find
that's the
anything to
problem.
connect everything in the world's problems to
Yeah.
that one thing.
Right.
And it's so easy to do that. And I think
So
it's
true.
actually like simple minded to do that. Like the
Yeah.
world is compiled with problems. It's a
Indeed.
compilation of problems.
People are evil.
Yeah.
It's not just the Jays.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time that's why it's to me it's weird of like, okay, why if they don't even have the biggest pack in America and your problem with the the country is packs, why are you not putting as much energy into the biggest pack in America, who we do actually see like the like in Hollywood, for instance, you can't mention Taiwan in a movie because it offends the Chinese and then
Nice.
it'll get canceled.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's all lobbying.
It is,
So-
but it's also money because they make money from showing the movies in China. And so all of these companies instead of imposing the free speech First Amendment on the rest of the world, they are creating fake hate speech laws effectively and imposing on Americans the fake hate speech laws.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Yeah.
imposing their values onto us.
Yep. And these
Which
are
is not even
supposedly
really a,
these are supposedly American companies who are undermining American values in favor of for the dollar or for money. Terrible.
the Chinese dollar.
And I get it. You have to make deals and get along with the world and stuff, but it doesn't seem right.
Well, yeah, I just think there's like a lot. There's a lot more important questions. You know, all right, let me give you an example. Right?
Okay.
Egypt lobbies in our country with about $12 million, right?
Okay.
Which is one of the lowest
Yeah.
like tax in the country. However, they're the number 2 recipient of our aid.
Nice.
Like, I don't know, how does that work? Are the Egyptians just great hagglers? Did they figure out
Very
the art
efficient.
of the deal? Exactly. Or is there, I don't know, is there corruption there? It seems like it.
So what do we give the most aid to? Is it Israel or who is it? Do you know?
I think it's Israel. Yeah.
So we give billions to Israel and then the second most to Egypt so that they get
Yes.
along with Israel or what?
I honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my question. I'm not.
Maybe we're paying them not to hurt Israel.
Yeah, it's like hush money,
Or kind of like hush money, but don't hit money or something like that.
extortion,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
It might be. I think I might have heard that before. You know, that's the drama. That's the trouble with getting all involved is the more involved you get, the more involved you have to be. So, I sympathize with what Bill Lockwood was saying on the show today that it may not even be constitution to give $1 to anybody overseas or
Maybe.
Mexico or anybody.
I don't
So-
know. I don't know the legalities of that, to be honest.
Yeah. And I don't know the wisdom or lack thereof of it. But I do basically trust Trump in terms of he has more wisdom and stability than any of these other presidents who were just, they weren't friends of America. Basically, the government is not a friend of America. You know, the normal, real American people.
Yeah, I
I
don't
see.
think really any government is. That's
Yeah.
why I'm in favor of like smaller government.
That's right. Yeah, they should be
Like-
hamstrung. Their power.
Yeah, like just whatever's necessary maybe for them to do, but
That's right.
you know,
But
I don't need
it's
them
so funny,
involved
like
in
the
every
basic
aspect.
the basic role of the government is to protect its people, right? But they're not. They're letting people in like crazy, and they're doing everything but doing right. So it's crazy.
I don't necessarily know if it's like their job is to protect us. Like in America, at least, I think their job is to make it so that like we're able to protect ourselves. Like, yeah, I get you. We should have police that we can call if there's, you know, a problem, that kind of thing. But
That's more local. Police, I think, is more of a local issue. The local people should be able to police themselves and come up with a police force or whatever. I think that the federal government should enforce the borders.
yep,
The states should maybe be able to enforce their borders. They try to stop these states from enforcing their borders and their stuff. Oh, that's our purview. You can't stop illegals. And then there's all these grandstanding phonies who are talking about, oh, we're not going to participate with the feds in enforcing our borders. That's their purview. And anybody who feels that their rights are being violated, just call our police. It's so subversive and evil. Have you heard these people saying this stuff?
where they're like,
There's
Where
like
they're
these
saying
local city officials and police chiefs who I don't know who, but I've heard on the radio there was this male I was listening to on the radio just a couple days ago, and he was saying, we put out a statement saying we're not going to work with the ICE, federal law enforcement, to enforce immigration law. Like, you don't even have to say that, but they're saying it in order to kiss up to the
Mm-hmm.
illegals and the people who are for illegals in the country.
It's a virtue signal, yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, they're subversively, underhandedly accusing the feds of violating people's rights, saying, oh, if you think that they're doing wrong, call the police. You're kind of giving false, I think it's false, probably, I don't know, some false reason to complain to these people who are complaining that the law is finally being enforced, that the immigration law is finally being enforced. You're finally getting caught and deported. Oh, these people are afraid. You notice they pump up fear. I know I'm changing the subject, but this is what the role of the federal government supposedly is one of the basics, is to enforce our borders and our immigration laws. But they don't. They refuse to.
Yeah,
And they
well,
change the laws so that they don't have to.
liberals want to take the force out of enforce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't have laws or a nation of laws without somebody enforcing those laws. Without without the at least the threat of force. Meaning like if you kill somebody, you may get killed by the cops, or you may get, arrested and put in prison or executed or whatever. There's a level of force that's involved in all of it. That's why there can never be a matriarch. It's always got to be a patriarchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because women don't have force in the world.
Indeed.
That's why, all of it has to appeal to us. All of them, all the feminists, they have to appeal to us, and they have to whine to us and basically try to, get us to submit to them.
You brought up Candace earlier, and you brought up women. That's another thing that I have a hard time believing, is that people are listening to her and like saying, "Oh, debate her," or "She's so great." I'm like, that's a woman you're listening to.
Yeah.
And you're just excited about her because she's saying something that you agree with because you're full of hatred. Basically. Yep. What a mess.
And I don't even find it to be that they necessarily hate the Jews or they hate America or that, because I was trying to really think about it. I really think it roots to them actually having a hatred for God and an anger for God, because that's why it's like when you do throw out like Bible verses to these people, they get really angry and go, "You're reading the Jewish Bible, or you're reading a Bible that was perverted by the Jews." And it's like, okay, that's what I realized. Like, I used to get defensive when people would come at me about my take on this. And then I realized, you're not angry at me. I'm just the messenger here. I'm just repeating the word of God to you, and you're getting angry. You're mad at God. You're not mad at me. That's something you got to figure out inside of you.
That is what women do. They hate nature and nature's God, that they are weaker than men. They are in a lower authoritative position than men. They don't have any authority. They hate reality, the world around them, the fallen state that God let us fall into since Adam and Eve. And likewise, they hate the reality that Jews are here and we have to work with them. Basically, right?
More or less.
And so I've literally heard some of them call in and call for extermination and all kinds of crazy stuff. That's blind rage. That's hating God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
It's like as much as I'm against Islam, I'm not in favor of them actually going over there and genociding them.
Right.
Like I want them to convert to Christianity. I want the Jews to convert to Christianity.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Right.
Personally.
I don't even care. I'm,
No, I feel you. In terms of it, like I'm not losing sleep because they are not converting.
Because that's what the Jew blamers say too. Is, oh, I love the Jews. I want them to convert and know Christ. You don't even know Christ. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's that. Well, what I'm talking about is this virtue signaling of Christianity and evangelism. They're pretending that they love them when it's not coming from any love or well wishes.
Yeah.
It's phony.
I mean, just because they're lying when they say it doesn't mean I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But should we really even want anybody to whatever?
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
most of them aren't going.
it's-
Most people aren't going to. Most fake Christians will be fake Christians their whole life and die that way.
Yeah, yeah, but that doesn't mean we're not supposed to fulfill, the mission God gave us.
Yeah, tell
get
the
what I'm
truth.
saying?
Yeah.
Again, it's
Speak
the same
truth
thing
in
of
love.
like, it doesn't say, spread, the word of God until it gets hard,
Right.
until, you meet somebody with a hard head.
Indeed.
I think you're actually supposed to love them more,
That's right.
So I'm not trying to be like a soapbox guy here. I'm just again repeating the word of God. I'm not saying like I do this perfectly every day. Sometimes I meet people that I'm just like I have moments where there's I was at a convenience store, and the guy that was running it, he was a Muslim, and he was literally praying, making us wait for him to finish praying to do our business.
I saw that
And
on X. I saw somebody on X doing that. They laid out like a carpet maybe, but it was in the middle of a aisle on an airplane. I don't know if it was a skit or if it was real, but he was like praying, and he was not pointing directly back down the aisle. He was pointing a little bit crooked, I guess maybe because Mecca is that way as opposed to that way.
Yeah, it's east.
And so he was in everybody's way. I don't know if they're coming in or out of this airplane, and they're doing it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying I have moments too where I lost it in that moment. I got really like angry, like, what are you doing? Like, and then it's also like I gotta sit here and watch you like show me your bottom while you pray to a pedophile. Okay. I'm gonna wait for you. No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But it's like I'm not trying to like claim that I'm perfect or anything like that. I have my moments too. I'm just trying to like tell the truth.
Right. But sometimes you don't, sometimes the answer is, sometimes loving them is just not pushing it down anybody's throat and not saying anything.
Yeah.
Jesus sometimes said nothing to people. He said, shake the dust off your feet and go your way.
Yeah.
And so you got to let people be lost if that's what they're committed to. At least in that moment,
Sometimes, like I have a friend of mine who's Muslim, and we talk about religion all the time. But I'm at the place, I'm like, you have your convictions, I have mine.
Yeah.
Neither of us are budging, but we're still friends for however long we make that work.
That's right. Right on. Shout out to the Muslims. Yeah, I'm friends with Omar. Third rail with Omar. Anyway, let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to touch on before we get to the calls?
Yeah, we kind of just scattered all over the place there.
What's the Scofield Bible?
Oh, well, that's the Bible that they're claiming, basically, I guess, changed the interpretation or the word of the King James Bible, or where they basically say that that's where the whole thing of he who blesses Israel is blessed, he who curses Israel is cursed. They're claiming that the Scofield Bible basically changed that, and that's it more or less. It's not true. That's where they're getting their thing from, that the Bible was changed by the Jews. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Cyrus I. Schofield, editor, derived from the King James Version, originally published 1909, a widely circulated study Bible, edited and annotated by the American Bible student Cyrus Schofield. It popularized something called dispensationalism at the beginning of the 20th century. And what is dispensationalism? Does that have to do with, it views history as divided into distinct periods governed by God's different ways of relating to humanity. So, I don't know. It may have to do with Israel and what Christians think is going to happen with Israel and stuff.
Well, I guess it would be almost the like Old Testament to New Testament kind of thing.
Similar to that, but they think that there's a New Testament on top of that with the I don't know, rapture and stuff like that.
Yeah,
They think
yeah, I
that
think that's
Revelation
what.
is this the thing where they think that Revelation hasn't already happened?
No, I believe. Well, I don't know, like all the way deep into the Scofield Bible.
Yeah.
What I know about is like certain things like the Genesis, the quote. Really, that's the only one that I would know, just because that's where I started my research on it, and that's
Okay.
where
Those who
the.
bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. Something like that.
Now let me be clear. Because it doesn't actually change the Bible. It doesn't change the King James version of the Bible. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
It
That's
just
where they're
interprets it in a different way from how many people probably would.
more or less it has the Bible as it was written, and then it has a little interpretation at the bottom of it. Now,
I see.
I'm not necessarily in favor of that either. I think
Right.
you're kind of still adding your thing to the Bible.
Yeah.
I don't think we need that.
I noticed
this is-
that a lot in my NIV. I had an NIV as a kid, New International Version. My mother gave it to me, okay? Maybe she was liberal, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. But I noticed that sometimes I would read that stuff and it would take the power away from what was said. And it would explain it in a way that I didn't necessarily like. I would just turn it into like, I don't know, it would make it not say what it was saying sometimes, some of these notes. Because sometimes it would say, there's stuff that's in the Bible that I don't know what it's saying. And I'd rather leave it as an I don't know than what somebody thinks that it says.
Well, that's where I say, like, sometimes I'll read things in the Bible and I don't understand it or I don't get it. And it's like, I think there's a certain, like, we do have to be naive in a way when it comes to God, that we just don't understand everything, and we may not be supposed to understand it. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what faith actually is. Like, that's where I think a lot of people are getting when it gets into the political realm of religion. It's like everybody has to be right about everything, and it's like, no, there's still a lot of like, let's just discuss and figure it out
Right.
as a society.
It's so bad that they'll say you're not a real Christian if you don't believe like them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been guilty of that too, so
Yeah.
I won't be a hypocrite.
Same.
Or I think there is definitely though a thing of like, you can't say that it's okay to worship Satan and call yourself a Christian.
Right.
Like, I think there is a bastardization of Christianity that could happen. There's a
Indeed.
grift that happens with it,
Yeah.
which I think partially this is what the whole thing of the Scofield Bible, like, again, this isn't a defense of the Bible, but this is to say that it didn't change the Bible. It didn't change what you actually see if you pick up a King James version or a New King James version or whatever. That's actually where they change and kind of wording of it.
Right.
So it's almost like they're telling you the Bible you're reading isn't really the real Bible, and then they don't really give you like a source to go and say, like, this is actually the real Bible, go read this. So I think it's leaving people to like just not believe in Christianity or believe in even the values, or they'll say they believe in the values without God.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's almost like trying to have that, like, live a secular life, but with Christian values. It falls like flat at a point.
But the Jew blamers, the Jew critics, the Israel critics, or the people who think Israel shouldn't even exist or be defended or whatever, at least not on a religious basis, they say that the Scofield Bible was what brainwashed Christians to support it into supporting Israel.
Yeah, that's all they'll say, and they won't ever like give you anything else beyond that. They never demonstrate how it did.
Okay.
So if you actually look at it, the Scofield Bible, and anybody could research this, the Scofield Bible, or let me put it this way: the King James version of the Bible has sold in its entirety since the recorded history, I suppose, has sold anywhere from 5 to 7 billion copies. Plus, they also have like over 100 million of them just like sort of distributed, like, you know, free and handed out at churches and all that type of stuff a year. 100 million, right?
100 million a year.
Yeah, that's actually an estimate. I don't know
Yeah.
how, you know, accurate that is, but if it sold 5 to 7 billion and it's in, you know, since its existence, then, you know,
That was the
the
first book that was ever printed, right? At least with the Gutenberg printing press. Didn't he print the King James version of the Bible or something like that? Or am I totally making
Possibly.
that up? Was Gutenberg Jewish? I don't know.
Sounds like it, right?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. Maybe he's German or something.
Could be German. Yeah, Guten.
Right. Okay. Anyway,
Well,
he was a
my
good
point
Jew
is
then.
this: the Scofield Bible only since its existence has only sold 10 million copies,
Oh,
right?
interesting. Yeah.
So
And that's
how
over a century, more than a century.
yeah, since 1909, I believe is
Yeah.
when it was published. But how is that to me? That isn't taking Christianity by storm. That's not
Right.
even really popularized.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of books,
right.
but it's not, you know, it's not like every household has a Scofield Bible.
But did it
sitting in it.
influence how the NIV, for example, and the New American Standard, I don't know, and some of these other books, interpretations of the Bible have translations, I mean. Did it influence their thinking?
It's possible.
Yeah.
It didn't influence the King James.
It's kind of like nobody ever heard of CRT until 5 years ago, right? But it's
Yeah.
been around since the 70s. And actually, even before that, there was this fake anti-racism stuff since like 100 years ago or 150 years ago or whatever. And so it's just another name that signifies part of the wave of influence, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to who's actually reading it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like a lot of people like try to get me to read you know, CRT books, and it's
Mhm.
like I just hear all I know is fruit from a poisonous tree. I get that one all the time. Still haven't read it. I don't
That's by
care.
some woman, right?
I have no clue.
That's interesting.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. So my point is though is you can put out a Bible that's a complete, like, you know, misinterpretation or rewrite of it, but if nobody's reading it and there's already an original text, it's like that happens all the time. But like I'm talking about like where they're putting out this idea that it was popularized. I don't even
Right.
think that's popularized.
That's a good point. People, yeah, I think that people want to make up, or they'll look at something and think this is a cause. This is a cause of why people are thinking that. This is the reason that people are thinking this. And they'll come up with all kinds of little obscure reasons why people think a certain way. And you know what? They will make up stuff. If we're talking about the Jew blamers and the critics, they will make up stuff that, oh, you're getting paid. That's why you think that way. Oh, you got the call. oh, you're
Yeah.
scared. Oh, this, oh, that. And they're just projecting all kinds of false ideas on you for thinking differently from them.
I don't remember if I said this earlier. I'll just say it again if I did. The one thing that I do see in certain like texts that are changed is that in the original or in the King James version, right?
Uh-huh.
It doesn't actually mention the name Israel in Genesis. I think
Oh,
it's
okay.
Genesis 12:3. It doesn't actually mention the name Israel,
Right.
but it is talking
That would
about
have
the
been
land.
Abraham's children, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's talking about the land that became Israel. So
Oh.
that's where maybe
Is it talking
there
about the
is
land
a-
or the people?
Well, it specifically says a nation.
Okay, a
then
nation
it
is
does
basically a
mention-
people then.
No, but it does mention the land too, though.
Right.
It does say the land, like this land. But I think the land that it's actually talking about would be like considered modern day Iraq.
Okay.
I don't even know if it's actually the land
Right.
that Israel's on right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's where it gets into specifics in geography.
When people say I love America, sometimes they mean the land, They love the land, the landscape, the scenery. Some people mean that they love Americans, the white people, the blacks who are black Native Americans, white Native Americans, and the people in it. Some people mean that they love the values, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and things, the culture. So people mean all kinds of different things. And some people just mean that they love the perks that they have living here, and they don't actually have any real love for America.
Yeah.
So
No, like loyalty or anything.
yeah. So blessing Israel can mean many different things to many different people.
It could be. Could be. I'm not claiming to know what that means.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if I were to interpret that into like what does that mean when you go out into the modern day world? I think if you look at the actual situation itself, and I've been having debates online about the whole war, and I go, how do we have this debate and not talk about the ideology of the whole thing? Because that's what's really motivating the Islamic side, is their ideology. It's their religion. So it's like, how are we ignoring that when we have this entire conversation? And I notice, again, the people, the Candace Owens and the Nick Fuenteses and all these people, they completely ignore that, because the only way they can go against the Jews is to side with a side that goes completely against their own ideology. The Islamic side.
Right. Yeah.
So they have to ignore that to take that side. Otherwise they're complete. They have to make them into victims, complete victims that are just getting genocided.
I know. I roll my eyes anytime I hear the word genocide. It's so bad that I don't even like calling the South Africa thing a genocide, because they've abused that word on everybody else. So it's like a ridiculous, dumb liberal word. It's an emotional word,
Yeah, it almost makes you like have to be like evil in a way, where you go, give me proof. I need to see dead bodies and like
right.
Because you guys have lied so much about genocide. I don't know.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. All right. So I want to get to some calls here. We're coming up on the top of the hour.
Oh, can I just say this real quick?
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging anybody to go read the Scofield Bible. Read your regular King James Version Bible.
Nice.
I think that's probably the most accurate, I suppose, in English interpretation or English translation.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that clear. I'm not defending the Scofield Bible. I'm just saying it wasn't popularized. It didn't take over Christianity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A bunch of lies.
I feel like I've heard the name before, but I don't know. I feel like there's all kinds of different names that I've heard.
I guarantee you,
in Christianity.
most people never heard of it before Candace Owens brought it up.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. Let's get to some calls here. 1-888-775-3773. And we'll get to your super chats as well. TJ in Washington is on the line here. TJ, thank you for calling and holding, man. You're live with Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation and Hake.
Hey, what's up, Crishaun?
What's up, TJ?
CJ, not TJ.
Oh,
Sorry about
CJ. Sorry.
Might be
Oh,
hard to
CJ.
hear.
I
So
know
nice
CJ.
that you, to have a guest on that's not a complete R word.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, have you ever, like, been around somebody and they're watching, like, a sports game and they start referring to the sports team as we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, we got a touchdown. We got this. Yeah. Yeah, that's like Mark with white people, right? Like, there's a very, very, very small handful of white people that created white civilization, and then there's just a bunch of sucker losers that just fill the roles and live off of it. And then they say, we did this. We sent a man to the moon. We did all this stuff. But I remember one time he called in, and you had to ask him if he was like an absolute moron and an idiot. You remember that time, Crishaun?
When he called for having an authoritarian.
Right.
country,
For a little,
Yeah,
for a short
yeah.
while.
I just wanted to ask Crishaun, Crishaun, are you aware that like half of the Hake Report audience are flat earthers?
No, I didn't. I think you're over exaggerating, aren't you?
I don't know. Hey,
It's-
what percentage of your audience do you think are flat earthers?
It is
or
significant.
Or don't have an opinion on it.
Oh yeah. Don't have an
Significant.
opinion. That's so funny. Yeah, they are spinning ball Earth deniers. It is very significant. The number, it is a squeaky wheels, and it's hard to know what percentage of the audience is, but it's definitely significant. And I'm holding up a flat Earth model.
Yeah, because most of them are ashamed to admit they believe that garbage.
Well, the most of my audience, they're not ashamed of it, but I just don't know because since they think it, they're passionate about it, and then a lot of my audience, I may never ever hear from them, so I don't know. There may be a silent majority of fellow balltards, but yeah,
I think
you can say it's fair to say half. It's fair to say half, CJ.
I think it comes down to just like they want to seem like they're in the know on something that nobody else is. So it's like, I know the truth. It's really just a political thing. It's like a stance. The government's lying to us about everything. It's like, yeah, maybe to a degree, but I don't know what's the benefit in them lying about the earth.
Yeah, I think you're more right. This is also like the aliens and the Nephilim and stuff, and people live these pretty much non-consequential lives, and there's nothing really exciting about what they do, and they're not really that smart, and so they think that they have the secret knowledge, and then all of a sudden they magically become smarter than everybody else on the planet, even though they couldn't pass a high school equivalency test.
They say, I used to think just like you, and I set out to prove these dumb flat earthers wrong. And then I took my straight edge and looked at the horizon, and it's flat.
Well, I can guarantee you there's not one chat-tard that's even remotely capable of thinking anything like me. But I wanted to get your opinion on this too. Let's say somebody was in a real bad situation, right? And then they were praying for God to make them safe. And then God says, sorry, I'm not going to grant your prayers at all unless you get 100 chat-tards from the Hake report to also pray for your safety, and then I'll make you safe. Does that sound like the way that you think God works with prayer? Is that God won't do anything for you unless someone else prays for you?
Pretty interesting. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. It actually sounds kind of stupid when you kind of put it that way, doesn't it?
I just I got distracted. I got a message come in. What did you guys just talk about? What did you guys just say? What was the point?
He's saying,
so you're sitting there in a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
And you're praying to God to help you, right? And God says, sorry, I can't help you unless, I need at least 100 chat-tards to also pray for you, and then I'll help you.
Oh.
Does that make any sense at all?
No, I don't think that God works like that. But in the Bible, sometimes all the Israelites were supposed to consecrate themselves and pray and humble themselves and stuff like that.
Oh, consecrate themselves, humble themselves,
right?
Pray for themselves. Pray for other people. Kind of like really stupid idea. Like I'm gonna pray for you. Don't worry about it. I'm already praying for myself.
Yeah.
Oh, but God, that doesn't count. God's not going to listen to your prayer for yourself. You need me to pray for you. It's just like an ego thing, right? And it's also it makes you feel like you're doing something even though you're not. And it's, to me, praying for other people is the epitome of Christian virtue signaling.
Especially when you tell people about it. Or you shame them for not doing it, or you shame them for... Yeah, I get your point. Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah, you're actually not. That's not a bad point.
Yeah.
It's not a bad point. I mean, what about praying? You have hatred in your heart, so you pray for your enemy. Because there's a thing of when you're, like you said, you're praying for somebody because you want to feel like you're doing something when you're actually not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a moment of being helpless. That's when you're supposed to turn to God. So I think maybe that's
Yeah.
like the idea of it. I agree with you. A lot of people are just doing it as a virtue signal, as like, hey, look,
Yeah.
I'm a good guy.
Or
I
trying to
pray for
be
people.
holy. Yep.
But if you're
Well,
really
okay,
doing that, like honestly, in your own heart, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, it
I
does
think
say
it's pretty much.
pray for your enemies or pray for those who persecute you or something like that. But it's
Pray
not.
for somebody
But
who
there's all
angered
these
you.
people who go out and I'm praying for him, and I don't think they even know what praying is. I don't even think they know what that
Well-
means to pray for somebody.
They think it's like a genie. You just ask for it.
It's just like it's pretty much saying, God, whatever your plan is your plan is stupid. I want you to instead do this thing that I'm asking you to do.
Yeah, it's sort of like
that's how.
that's
I
true.
couldn't think of a more insulting thing to do to God than tell him that you want him to change what's already happening to fit your own will. And like God, it's why you pray, your will be done, God. Not listen to what I want, please.
I think there is though a level of cynicism to what you're saying, because it's almost like when a quarterback throws a touchdown in an NFL game and then they get the touchdown and he thanks God. You know
No,
what I mean?
we got the touchdown.
Well, I'm saying the whole
No,
thing
we
of like
did it.
Tim Tebow thanking God or whatever. Like,
No.
I don't know. I think it's okay to glorify God in the things you do. I think you're being a little cynical.
Yeah,
but I do get you.
But it's kind of thanking God for pleasing my ego, so I got to get the glory of winning this thing, and then I feel guilty for getting the glory, so I'm gonna point up to God, and then everybody looks up to me because he glorified God. Good for him.
Yeah, but isn't that what we're supposed to do? He made it
I don't
about
know.
God whether he saw it as like I gotta humble myself, so let me show people the world
how humble I am.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's not humble.
There was something that you said about praying for others, blessing those who persecute. There was something that I wanted to point out. Oh, when black women, for example, among others, or Bible thumpers are mad at JLP or disagree with him, they'll go, I'll pray for you. Basically, I don't agree with you. I think that you're of Satan, and I'm going to pray for you. It's a prideful judgment.
That's almost like a vindictive prayer.
That's a recognized insult in the South, man.
Right. Bless your heart.
Oh, bless your heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's a demeaning phrase.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, so I've told you a few times that, I'm a civil engineer, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Which
you
means
know what that
you
means?
No.
It means I design and engineer civilization. And to listen to these bloviating blowhards talk about, civilization was built by what? I'm like, please, that's literally my job. And I can guarantee you, people like you had you flush the toilet, that's great. And that's like you live in society, to go into the restroom, use the toilet, and flush it, right? You're not the person that designed the toilet. You're not the person that designed the sewer system. You're just this person living in society off of us, and you're on team we, and that's great. But also in the Bible, which I think is just stupid, God does say he will write his word on your heart once he has given you his plan. His word will be written on your heart. So anybody even needing a Bible to have a relationship with God is by definition like not having a relationship with God yet, and it's still going to a book rather than if they actually had a relationship with God the Father, everything they would know would be implicitly understood because it's written on your heart. What do you think about that? That all Bible thumpers are just not getting it at all. And
you're not a Christian,
to keep going
right?
back
CJ?
to the Bible, huh?
You're not a Christian, right? You're an atheist or something like that.
No, I follow I follow the strict letters of Jesus, and that's it.
So how would you know the story of Jesus without the Bible? Would God just like
You read it, right? You
okay,
read it.
so that's
You
why
learn
you
it.
need the Bible.
You put it down. If you like, right, like, how would I learn, like, you know, I had to teach myself calculus, right? I had a math book. But if I know if I learn the calculus, I don't need the textbook every single time I want to do a derivative or an integral. I don't need it anymore. I learned it. You got to put it down. And actually, I think it's like an excuse to say when you're studying the Bible, then there's an excuse that you don't actually have to just be living the way that God wants you to live, because you feel like you're doing something great, but really you're just refusing to learn what's so obvious and plain as day.
I don't know. I think you're just saying that like some people use it for this reason, so that makes the whole thing pointless. I think that's ridiculous. Like
the Bible never mentions the Bible. Jesus never mentions the Bible. God never mentions the Bible. The only thing that says that you need the Bible to learn God is men. God and Jesus never talk about the Bible. The Bible hadn't been created for hundreds of years.
That's not the point, CJ. The point is that there's a story, an entire story and history connected to it that is important to learn as a Christian, to understand the context of why we follow the values we follow. Okay. Otherwise, you're just throwing out a system and saying do this, and you see how quick that falls apart. Like, look at America. Like it's Christian values without the substance of Christianity, so it falls apart. It falls into chaos without the context.
I don't know. Jesus never mentions Christianity either.
Well, Jesus was just living.
Right.
It's like going like the characters in a book don't mention they're in a book. That's stupid. They were living there. He was living his life and fulfilling his mission. He doesn't go, this will be written in a book.
I just think it's odd how much Christian theology was never even close to spoken by Jesus, right? Like the entire concept of grace, made up completely by Paul, never mentioned by Jesus.
Yeah, but you're not even responding to what I just said. Do you think the context of Jesus's story is important? Because you're kind of saying it's not.
What I'm saying is there sure are a lot of characters in the book, right, that had a relationship with God.
You're not answering my question. You're going
without having the book.
Jesus. We're talking about Jesus, specifically his story.
Jesus?
Yes.
Jesus' disciples did not need a book to have a relationship with Jesus.
Yes, because they knew him personally, you fool.
The Bible is a collection of stories of people that had a relationship with God without needing a Bible. Moses, right? Moses hadn't even wrote the first 5 books yet.
Indeed.
He had a relationship with God. How did that happen? Oh, there's nothing written yet.
So we all have to just wait for divine intervention then, and that's how we'll actually find God.
Yeah, I think kind of like what JLP teaches, which is just sit down, shut your mind up, and you know, God, you'll realize that God's always talking to you. You just need to stop mentally trying to, you know, argue against it or just sit down, shut up, pay attention, and God will guide you.
How do you find God without information, like learning something, some kind of wisdom?
Well, eventually you get into the stuff like reciting the rosary and saying Hail Marys, right? And it just gets into this ritualistic...
That's Catholicism.
Yeah. Right? Well, that's
not our religion, though. You're bringing up another religion now.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Catholicism, right?
No, we're not Catholics, though, so there's no point to bring that up. I can't defend Catholicism. I don't really know much about it. You're trying to make an argument against Christianity here, or against the Bible, the Christian Bible.
I'm just saying that at some point if you keep having to go back to the textbook, it's because you're not learning. If you have learned, God has said, I will write this on your heart, which means I don't need it written in a book anymore. That's what that means. If you still need it written in a book, it's because it's not written on your heart. Maybe that just doesn't make sense.
I'm with you, man. I understand it. It's an interesting point. What did that relate to being a civil engineer? Because you brought up that you're a civil engineer, you organize civilization, or was that the separate point?
Oh, I just thought it was. I just think it's funny that Crishaun, you got a little black in you, right?
A little.
Yeah, that's what I've been told.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So we got
So they say.
Crishaun, Big Bump, all these people, way, way smarter than Mark. But then Mark attacks your other black guest and says, black people have a lower IQ. It's like, yeah, those are racial averages, right?
Yeah.
And Mark exists at that 85 percentile. And it's like, and if he wants to say that, like, calling Italy Germany is splitting hairs, like from a IQ perspective, splitting hairs would be trying to distinguish the difference between, like, Coco the gorilla and Mark. Like, to me, that's like, okay, Coco gorilla had an IQ of 70, Mark's got an IQ of 85, I've got an IQ of 145. Like, Mark's IQ is closer to Coco the gorilla's than to the white engineers that build society that he wants to say he's a part of a team of.
Did they measure?
I'm like, Mark, you're not on our team, dude. You're not part of the people that build society just because your skin's white. You're one of the idiots that just tools around in society.
All right.
That we built.
I want to know did they really figure out Coco's IQ?
Yeah, I think it's like 70 or something.
Really? So they could measure a gorilla's IQ. I don't know if you saw on my show one time last week or so, they said that a octopus's IQ is 73. And I was like,
how do they
what?
test that?
I don't think that's true. But
How do they figure that out?
But did they truly measure a gorilla's IQ?
Well, they taught the gorilla like hundreds of words.
Right.
To put together sentences.
Yeah.
Is there a different scale of measurement?
Well, Mark also mentioned like crime rate, but I wonder if Mark gives, crime is when you commit an offense and the victim is the state. But when you commit an offense and the victim is a private person with a private injury, it's called a tort in civil law. And one absolutely established tort, it's called slander per se, right? When you accuse somebody of a crime and there's no evidence of it, you don't even have to prove damages. It's considered such a heinous act in civil law that to accuse somebody falsely of a crime, they see they don't even have to do damages. Now, I've already explained this to Hake, but calling somebody a fraud means that they have committed fraud, which is lying in order to, like, gain an advantage from that person. Now, Mark likes to just call people frauds whenever he thinks that they're not saying something true. There's no evidence that anybody was trying to gain an advantage or get money or get you to sell something.
Right.
Now, that would be bearing false witness,
CJ, because
which
last
I believe
time,
I believe calling somebody a fraud when they're not would be bearing false witness, which is one of the 10 Commandments, correct? You shall not bear false witness.
And that's what we were just talking about with the Jew blamers making up stuff about people who either don't fully agree with them or don't know or don't care or whatever. They're bearing false witness, just willy-nilly, just making up stuff.
Yeah, is flaming homosexuality in the 10 Commandments?
I don't think so.
Nope. So what Mark does when he calls people fraud is he's committing a sin worse than being a flaming homosexual in God's eyes every time.
Wow.
And now Mark doesn't care. Mark doesn't care that he's violating the 10 Commandments on virtually every phone call. Mark doesn't care about that. All he has to do is talk about how stupid the black people are. That's it. That's all I can. And everybody else is a fraud. And then he calls, people Satanists and evil. And I'm like, dude, you're just violating the 10 Commandments.
Last time I talked to him, he calls people communists, and I pointed out that he's far closer to a communist than anybody he's called a communist, from what I know.
Interesting
And
point.
me specifically.
The guy.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
that's why I also ask a lot of white people the same thing that I'll say to black people. It's like, okay, what have you invented? What are you doing to fix the crime problem? And most of the time it's nothing. Mark goes, I don't want to dox myself because I'm the Batman.
All right, I got to move on, guys.
Apparently.
I enjoyed this call.
Yeah, I got to get back to civil engineering, the site for the first ever world's fusion reactor up here in Washington. So, yeah, I gotta get back to doing white man stuff so Mark can take credit for it.
Much appreciation. Thank you, CJ.
All
Take
right.
care,
Thank you,
man.
CJ.
Peace out.
Bye. A little announcement, guys. No American Anchor Baby today, okay? No Anchor Baby.
Deported.
Yeah, he's been deported. I'm kidding. He did not get deported, but he will not be here. He will not be live. I'm still going to end on time just because, I don't deviate from the usual. And so
Discipline.
wish him well. Hopefully he will be back tomorrow. He had to take care of some business. I have a few super chats though. Before I get back to the calls, the lines are full, so I'll plow through these supers quickly. I hope. T-Fly and Monkey asks, Crishaun, name the countries with lobbies other than Israel if it's a lie that they are the only one. You mentioned China, but
China, Japan, South Korea, Saudi Arabia. Pretty much every country on the planet has a pack in America.
okay.
How about you do some research instead of having me be your teacher?
Dang, shots fired.
And don't ask me a question like if you don't really want to know the answer. That's just one of those. Why don't you do? It's like just be open to learning. How about that?
Thank you for the support as always. T-Fly Monkey 45. Make sure you follow T-Fly Monkey 45, who's on Rumble. Make sure you follow the Misfit Nation user on Rumble. All right? Nice.
Yes.
And then you can go at him. You can go at him. Okay, thank you, sir. Or ma'am. Chris Person 77 says, with a coffee, buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report. Classified documents. And that's my sarcastic thing about Trump doing the classified documents, having classified documents in Mar-a-Lago, and CNN was trying to play like it was a big deal, and so I'd mock it. But people said I sounded like Yoda when I would say it. Anyway,
Or Seth Rogen, a little bit of Seth Rogen.
yeah, terrible indeed. Caesar or Cesar, 3 coffees. Sup, Hake? I'm going to have to podcast yesterday's show, JLP and yours, today and possibly tomorrow over the weekend. Have a nice show today, man. Hispanic thumbs up emoji, I think. Thank you, Cesar. Caesar.
Brown.
Yeah, someone bought our coffee. It's amusing to watch callers pass judgment. Indeed, it is. I think you guys should listen to CJ sometimes, though. Shout out. JC yesterday gave a Cash App saying, sad that I like you better than a drag queen. It's not sad, man, but I understand it. But don't play favorites, CJ. Love all. Anyway, Cash Daily says, but no worries, man. Thank you. I'm better liked than a drag queen by CJ.
Yeah.
Cash Daily
Natural.
says it's used to learn and teach. It's a book. It says about the Bible. Over on BitChute, people are talking crap about Zoran Mamdani, and I don't know if these are bots or what, but Hake is live on BitChute. I like to be live on as many as possible, whereas you like to just narrow down to BitChute. I mean, Rumble.
Rumble, yeah.
Jim in Alaska on Punchy.tv says NRA for life. Salute emoji. Nice. David on Facebook says, hey guys, did you skip your intro today? No. I didn't. But I don't know if Facebook kicked on. I want my La 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 song. Over at the beginning, I'm sure it played. I'm almost sure. I don't know. I think it
I
did.
heard it.
He said, I think dispensationalists are the ones who believe Jews are still chosen, so they don't need Christ or something like that. Not an expert, says David on Facebook. Maybe. Yeah, it has, I don't know. I mean, I've sometimes referred to Jews as God's chosen people. It is interesting that they have this special place in the world, and yet they don't escape being evil like everybody else. Anyway.
Well, they also kind of even the Jews to a degree kind of get that wrong, the chosen people thing. It was that I believe it was because they were the only tribe that chose God's way.
Oh,
whatever,
really?
God's
So, yeah,
commandments
so
or whatever.
Israel split, huh? It was the rest of the tribes and then the tribe of Judah, and the tribe of Judah
Yeah.
became the Jews, and who knows what the rest of the tribes are. The black Hebrew Israelites think that they know who everybody is.
They call them the Goyim.
Right. So do Jews call their cousins in the other tribes? Because maybe they're calling their cousins Goyim. I don't know. Is that a bad word too? It sounds bad, but they don't even necessarily mean it bad. It's like the N-word didn't used to be bad, but now it's bad.
I think it just means non-Jew, right?
Gentile means non-Jew. It's not as bad. It doesn't sound as bad.
I think it sounds silly. Goyim.
I think it
It's like a
sounds
Yiddish
scary.
word.
Yeah.
He's scared.
Anyway, this is all new to me. That's why it's so foreign, and foreign stuff is scary. Tyrant Soros Wrecked says, Hake, the NJV, or King James version, of the Bible was not printed by Gutenberg. He also says, Crishaun the Zionist shill. The Zon is shill. The Israel created in 1948 is not the Israel of the Bible, says he. And he says, this guy is disingenuous. Many Christians are deceived by the Scofield Bible and MAGA churches, or mega churches. Maybe MAGA churches too, preach dispensation. And so, yeah, dispensationalism must have something to do with thinking that Israel is special based on the Bible, which, if you listen to Bill Lockwood, he says that that's misguided. But go ahead.
Oh, I mean, again, you're mad at God. You're not mad at me.
Nice.
Yeah. Read the Bible and be angry at that.
That's over on pilled.net where he says, la, 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 the Hake Report. Thank you, Tyrant.
Can I just say this real quick, Hake? I'm
Yes,
telling
sir.
you, give it a little bit of time. Most of these people that are claiming they're Christians and they're getting angry at this Schofield thing and dispensationalists, whatever, they're going to end up denouncing God and disavowing Christianity eventually. I'm good
Dang.
at predicting these things, I promise you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, as Jesus said, not all who call me Lord, Lord will enter. There will be some who I say, away from me, I never knew you. And just like CJ pointed out about some of my other hateful callers, when they're hateful and lobbying accusations against people willy-nilly, they're breaking the commandments while claiming God. So it's even if they don't outright deny God, they are denying God with their life by hating, being angry. I don't know if that's Tyrant Soros wrecked. I don't know if that applies to him, but anyway, it's true of people. What did you say? What did you say?
No, I was just saying they're fearing men. They're fearing human beings. You're not supposed to fear other men.
That's right. True. 2 Timothy 3:16 says, Cactus Eater Bear with a diamond, all scripture is God-breathed and useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. And so there is stuff in the world and it has its use. Okay? There is scripture in the world written down that is useful. And he says that's why scripture is important from God, he says. Yeah, I mean, these outside reminders, you go to a church, you talk to people, they say iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. But I think it only does because it's already written in your heart, and these things are reminders to you. And so I'm still with CJ about the people who are relying on the Bible to know God. They're not knowing God. They're kind of denying even what the Bible says. Because the Bible does say it's written on your heart. So they're denying the Bible while thinking that they're agreeing with the Bible, but they're contradicting the Bible. I notice.
I think it's also just the way that human beings, like we're designed. We understand things better in story form. You know,
Yeah.
like it relates to us more.
Anecdotes are real. All these statistics are lies, or
Yeah.
they deceive with statistics. They don't really tell you the real story going on. That's how they can say, oh, there's some study shows that diversity is better for your bottom line than non-diversity. You know, I overheard something like that. Anyway, nice. Thank you, guys.
Jesus says, you find the truth and you'll find me, right? I think there's something in that's why Christianity is so great, is that we don't know. Everything's not laid out for us.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, there is a level to that the Bible doesn't give us every single thing.
Right.
There's some things we have to go out and look for and seek.
God made you. You don't think he gave you some sense?
Yeah.
That you just detach yourself from? Anyway.
So I said he gave us logic. He gave us certain things that we can use to figure out the truth.
Yeah, the truth is right in front of you.
Yeah.
The Zesty one bought a coffee. CJ versus Mark versus Jeff. Battle of the Clan, he says. Battle of the Dunce Caps. It makes sense you would tune out CJ. Boring. I didn't tune him out. I got that note that no anchor baby. That's why I was distracted. Anyway, I like when Crishaun is on. It has an H in his name, actually. Crishaun. Hopefully he will show his gun and drop N-bombs again. It got rid of Art. Art, too smart from Ohio. James, you allowed Art to get disrespected. That's not disrespect. The Bond audience is a reminder of why you can't pray for everyone. They will reject God's love. I think a civil engineer is a fancy word for janitor. Somebody called him a road worker. No shade. Oh, none taken. You called me a little bro yesterday. I almost threw up. Yeah, I did call CJ a little brother.
He had to get off the phone because the fries were done.
Not CJ, JC. CJ's, I don't know if he's older or younger than me.
His doppelganger.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the worst thing Mark called CJ, yes, CJ was JC. Anyway, no, I'm kidding around. JC and CJ and Mark. What was that?
By the way, half-breed bum was the funniest insult I've ever gotten hurled at me. Oh my God, I wish I would have caught it live. Hilarious.
That was what Mark called you last time.
Yes. But by the way, I will say this. I do disagree with Hake on the N-word thing. I just don't use it on your show out of respect for you.
Right.
But I don't see that as like really a curse word. But maybe that's just where it's a curse word, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't see it as this taboo word.
Right.
I use it freely on my show, so.
And I don't mind it. I don't mind hearing it. It's just that I don't want to use it on my show. And there are like respectable blacks who don't even use it themselves. And then of course it's the YouTube concern. You know, don't want to get myself censored. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's the reason I use it as a utility. Like, there's a differentiation between black people and N-words. Like, Jesse Lee Peterson, I would never call an N-word.
I did.
Because, you know what I mean?
Right.
I maybe out of you know, a joke.
He stole a pencil right out of my hand. I was standing right here. I'm like, oh, N-word?
It's a little...
That was a while ago.
It was a little
I stopped. Yeah.
A little ishy.
But anyway, I was kidding around. It's funny. It's a catchy word. I don't like that they take away all the catchy and stylish things that we have. You know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
The communists have a lot of very flashy and attractive design stuff, and so do the Nazis. And Nazi stuff you can't show. Only communist stuff can you show. And I don't like either one of them, really. I like the Confederate. The Confederate flag, it's a beautiful flag. It's beautiful, it's cool style. You can't show it. They take away all the cool stuff from the whites. We can't say or do or have or show anything cool. Anyway, stylish, I mean. So the blacks have all the style now. But the zesty one continues. It got to you. It got you to repel me. I wanted to be one of the people who caused you to be in a funk, as you mentioned on Tuesday. Nonetheless, I'll super chat to you again on that demon's birthday, July 17th. That's Hake. And I've only watched Crishaun's stream on election night. That's when I knew it was Trump who won. Wow. He's a treasonous man. Happy Pride, everyone. Oh, and of course, no Nick, no Anchor Baby today. He can't go a whole month without missing work. James, do the extra hour. The chat wants you to. No such luck. Okay, no such luck. But thank you for the vote of support. Okay. Okay, let me get back to calls. Are you streaming tonight, Crishaun?
No, probably not tonight.
Okay.
Maybe if there may be a surprise stream. Who knows?
Nice.
Maybe I'll jump on with Jake Hudson.
Awesome.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah. William in California is on the line over here. William, I'm going to try to plow through all of your calls. Go ahead, William. We have to do a short thing because I went too long, but go ahead.
Good morning, Crishaun. How you doing?
Hey, William. Talked to William last night, too. On my show.
Nice. Hey.
James, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you.
Man, why do you do this, man? What is a civil engineer? How many jobs have I had and seen a civil engineer department?
What?
None. And then you sit there and you go, wow. Dude, man, what is this obsession with Mark? That's getting old.
Yeah.
And I'm so burned out right
I do
now,
not like
dude.
I do not like the
forgot
talking
what I
about
called
Mark, but he
about.
was the only reason I let it slide. The only valid reason that I let it slide was that he was making great points about human nature. And yeah,
nothing, James.
No,
You know
you
what,
make a
James?
good point about slander and stuff like that. That part was
Man,
good.
You know what, man?
Yeah.
It's something I don't do, and you probably noticed. Oh, William, you're Catholic. Yeah. Do I get into detail about that or anybody else's religion? I don't like to talk about that stuff. I mean,
Right.
I know you can if you want to. I don't like passing judgment on people's religion. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's a burnout. We're completely off the rail right now from this guest subject.
Indeed.
Completely.
Go ahead. You
Thanks,
wanted to talk
CJ.
about Israel and
But
Iran,
yeah. Today is on the subject matter that Crishaun has brought up. There's going to be at least I think it's today or no later than tomorrow. We're going to get the official damage assessment on the ground out there in Iran. I pretty much think that stuff is pretty much in bad shape. But Iran is very unstable right now. The ATMs are all down. There's people fleeing the cities.
you
And
know,
the things that are being done out there right now is what we want. We want that prison. I think they hit the gate at that prison. We want those prisoners, political prisoners, to escape. You see them escape, you might see some, turning that government over back to maybe the Shah. I don't know. I mean, I think that guy wants to come back, but I'm just sorry. You don't want to be on the bad end of the stick with the United States.
That's
and
true.
As far as the pack and everything, Israel doesn't really sponge off of us like me and Crishaun were talking about it last night. They don't really sponge off of us like the other countries in Europe does.
Who,
they pay their bills.
Israel doesn't?
They pay their bills, man, and they even invent their own stuff. So they do a lot of. What did we say last night, Crishaun? They have messed up a lot of people for us, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. We were a little saucier with the language, but
Right.
yeah, they've done us a lot of favors. They've researched and developed a lot of technology, military and non-military, and they share it with us. That's what I think William means by they pay their bills. They hold up to their end of the bargain.
It's
And
probably one of the other. It probably, some of the countries that are with us don't like paying their bills, as you know, James. But I would say
he started to get
Israel.
NATO to pay more or claim that they will agree to pay more. That's an interesting point. So Europe.
I could tell you, Israel pays their bills. Israel paid it, and Japan.
What does that mean? Do they pay
pays
us
their
back?
bills.
What do you mean by pays their bills?
We got to have our palms rubbed. whatever we do around the world,
Uh-huh.
it is Israel rubs our palm. Japan rubs our palm.
Okay. Right on.
You know, there are, when Trump came in.
I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't thought of it.
Didn't he bring that up? He wants them to pay their bills in Europe.
I got to cut it short, William. I appreciate
I
your
bet
call.
you do. You have to.
Yeah. I went so long with CJ. He was so interesting to me. But thank you, man. Take
care,
William,
man.
much love, man.
Quick super chats. I want to keep up with the super chats as well. Cash Daily says the book is the best book ever. Pretty important, I'd say. Imagine having the last copy like that in the movie with the colored fella. The book is still important. See, he's right, though. Evil is still real. Says Timothy is Paul, not Jesus or God. That's right. For First Timothy or whatever about the all Scripture. That's Paul writing. It's not Jesus or God writing. I say Paul was God inspired, and he met Jesus on the road to Damascus. But CJ doubts that. Evil is still real on Rumble says William first dives into talking about other people. Okay. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Very meta. Crishaun, name the other countries that do not have to register as a foreign lobby. AIPAC is a foreign lobby, but they don't have to register as one, says he. Is that true? And do you know?
I'll
that
have to
topic?
look into that and come back to you.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys for the supers.
I like how you see how he moved the goalpost though.
Oh, that's a
Wrong on
different
the
guy.
first thing?
No, that was
Oh,
T
okay,
Flying
okay.
Monkey on Rumble. This guy, Tyrannosaurus, is racked on pill.net. I'm streaming like all kinds of different places.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're all over the place.
Robert in Kansas. Robert, go.
Hey guys.
Hey, man. We got to go quick.
Okay, I'll go quick. First of all, let me apologize to your guest for some of my previous comments towards him.
Accepted, I'm sure.
I was kind of rude,
What
but
were they?
I really appreciate him helping you out, Hake. So just keep up the good work, gentlemen, and
Thank
that's
you.
all you got to do.
Thank you.
I heard some, I can't say the S word, right? Some trash talking about the flat Earth.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Okay, so, I mean, you gentlemen, like, I don't know if you graduated college or not, but, like, can you not even do math? Like, you can go and measure what we're on. Like, you don't have to believe me or an internet video or anything. Like, do you not know how to work optics?
How do you
Like,
I have
measure
my
the
eyes.
Earth? I don't know.
Yeah, you're grown men, right?
Yes.
Okay, so go out there and you show me where this Earth curves.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna
Don't
say
do it.
something
Right
new
there.
and like interesting.
You see, it's like going down right there. It's going.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah. Okay. Hake. Yeah. No. Hey, listen.
It drops off.
I've been there, bro. I've already done this.
Nice.
You can tell me that the sun goes over the edge, but
Yep.
brother, there's something called modern optics. Okay, like
I
we
disavow
can see
optics.
this stuff.
I have
Yeah,
eyes.
optics. You have eyes, and you can do math, and you can say that this is a 25,000-mile ball, and the mathematics don't work, brother.
Oh.
Yeah. So if
Well,
there
whatever.
was-
I don't know.
explain that.
Light bends, man. So I think he's trying to say that we see further than we should. Than we should.
Yeah.
We see more miles than we should before the drop off.
I'm challenging him to explain the math on it because he's saying we don't know the math. I guarantee you he
Well-
doesn't either. Like, what's the
Well,
math
Crishaun-
equation to fit? Tell me
No,
the
well,
equation
Crishaun,
to figure out the shape of the Earth. What's the
well,
equation?
no, brother, what I'm saying is that if there was a curve, right, like there was a curve of the Earth, that even the smallest portion of Earth would also require the same curve. So if you're looking at 100 miles or 1,000 miles, there would be a curve to, let's say, that water. right? So if the oceans of the earth curved around a ball, and you were looking at 1 mile or 100 miles or 1,000 miles, it would be the same exponential function, right?
I don't think so. That's relative to how big you are on the plane.
One
Well, I'll tell
on
you
the
what,
ball.
brother, I am so
If
big.
you're
100 miles.
microscopic on the ball and you look
See.
out, you're not gonna see a curve
Is that
because you're so
1,000 miles?
small.
I think that might be 1,000 miles.
It's
Yeah, good job,
relative to
Hake.
how
Good
it's
job, Hake.
relative to
You're,
your size.
I'm
No,
trying
Hake
to.
is-
I'm
look at
trying to
Hake.
be a legend.
It's like my 3rd grade teacher, Hake, with his globe. He's like, look at this, guys. Believe this.
It's so obvious. I thank you for your call, Robert. I appreciate it, man. I have to move forward. Take care.
I don't think he understands the math either.
I think that's a 22 but behind Crishaun. I bet that's a 22.
22s.
That's not a
22s are the
5.56.
number one murder weapon,
Five
baby.
point 5.56 NATO,
That's
buddy.
not a NATO round. That's Beta with his. Yeah, that's not a
Hello.
NATO round. Bye-bye.
Bye. Nice.
That's a NATO round, isn't it?
226 is 22, right? I don't know. Anyway.
5.56.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Jeff in Louisiana on the line here. Jeff, thanks for calling and holding, man. Go.
Hey, short time, man. 2 quick things. Y'all was talking about Candace Owens over. Y'all noticed that Candace Owens has switched her positions on Trump and Israel since she got fired by a Jewish guy.
Yeah. Interesting. Which happened first?
Well, she got fired by Ben Shapiro first.
Right. Well, Ben Shapiro doesn't run Daily Wire, right?
Oh, well, he's half owner.
Oh, okay.
Jeremy Bourne runs it, but he's
Yeah.
half owner.
And Jeremy Boring is Christian. 223.
Yeah, but,
Oh.
okay, second thing I'm on.
But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Yeah, and she's switching. She's the one switching all these people on, who are with Trump and then against Trump. So they're switching. They're the ones switching. Trump didn't switch.
It's funny. They're all going, Trump changed.
No, he didn't.
And then it's like, yeah, but like 3 years ago, Candace Owens, Myron, and all these other guys, like they were doing totally different
I saw
content.
you make that point. The only one who has been
Yeah.
consistent is Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes.
But he's
yeah.
young. Like he's always been, he's always been an American hero. But these other people, they are what they accuse others of being.
I
say.
disagree with Nick a lot, but I love the guy. I think he's great.
Yeah.
Like
too.
he's hilarious.
He's going to be our 50th president, perhaps, if we get
Second thing
one.
Are we ready for a half Mexican president?
A Catholic, no less. A real Catholic, not like a
Oh.
Biden or JFK. Go ahead.
The second thing, real quick, was Trump just passed his 5-month mark in office. And the reason everybody hates him is because in 5 months, Trump's pretty much destroyed Iran's ability to make nukes. He's a piece of, I don't know if it's still holding up or not, but he got a ceasefire with Israel and Iran. He lowered prices. He pretty much eliminated illegal immigration. As a matter of fact, we have more deports and exports now.
Exports and
He
imports. Wait, deports? Oh, more deportations. Yeah.
Yeah, more deportations and import than illegals.
He's doing what he promised
He brought
Well,
back
best,
job
to the best of his ability.
Another thing that's happening a lot that nobody's really talking about is the self-deportations. I think there's been like millions of people who just were like, all right, I'm leaving.
You
I
know
don't
what
wanna
else
get-
I was happy to hear is that they're scared to go to work. They won't show up to work. And so they just stay inside. They won't go to the store. They're staying
Yeah,
inside. And, you know, I don't wish any ill will, but yeah, you're supposed to be in the shadows and then humble and then, yeah, hopefully self-deport because it's not right that they're here. Go
I
ahead.
seen that comment on that. People talk about more seats to sit down on buses and everything else because there
Yeah.
wasn't so many illegals.
Less traffic, less of a housing shortage, so-called.
And you got UN countries to pay their fair share in NATO.
Yeah. Based. That's
So-
a man.
That's over 6 things in 5 months he's done.
That's awesome.
Okay, and that's all I have, man. I'll let you guys get some more calls.
Thank you, Jeff. Always like hearing from you. Take care. All right.
Yeah, that is crazy. Trump's only been in office for what, 5 months, 6
yeah.
months?
Okay,
And he's had
so
a
January
lifetime.
20th, February, March, April, May, June. That's 5 months. And it's the 26th, so 5 months and a week.
And it feels like a lifetime of a presidency.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's like when you're praying quietly, time slows down. Okay, and let's get to Anthony in SoCal, who's on the line here. Anthony, go ahead.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep,
Yes,
I
sir.
think so.
Sweet. I want to get to something Crishaun said earlier, but just a quick comment. I don't know. CJ, you sound like a young guy, man. It's early in the day. I don't know. You shouldn't be that angry this early in the day, man. It's whatever you're reading or not reading. I don't want anything to do with that. But I was going to say, Crishaun, you were saying you have debates on your channel regarding the underlying Islamic ideology behind the conflict. What's your take on that? Any interesting observations you made regarding their theology?
Well, no, I'm talking about the ideology of Islam.
Right.
Yeah, because they,
Yeah.
you know, when you're a Jew blamer, you don't tend to acknowledge the wrong that the other parties are doing.
When you don't tend to acknowledge that their values are totally anti our values. You can't really say the same for Jews. They might have some
Right.
that are a little different, but they're more or less the same values.
Well,
It's almost like
where
you
do
go
think-
when they talk about like what, like, you know, the Jews, they'll get you canceled, they'll do this, they'll want to bring you to a Holocaust museum. It's like, yeah, sure, but the Muslims will just kill you. At least with the Jews, you can reason a little bit. The Muslims will just lop your freaking head off. You know what I mean? So when it comes
Shout
to
out.
like, yeah, to our values, I think if we're fighting a war, I'm gonna take the Jew side or the Christian side over the Muslims.
Yeah, that reminds me of what's his name? Vlad the Impaler. He was one of the Crusaders that was imprisoned, and we
He
know
was a
him for
monster,
being
though.
like gruesome for
That's Dracula,
taking
right?
heads off.
Yeah, he would drink
Yeah,
the blood
yeah,
of his
exactly.
enemies.
But he was inspired to do that when he was imprisoned, and he learned from the Muslims. He learned their execution techniques, and he basically took vengeance in a type of way.
Wow.
But since you talk about beheading, I thought that was interesting. But Crishaun, did you know that? This is my last point, Hake.
Yeah.
When Muhammad first had his first revelation with the so-called angel Gabriel in the cave of Hera, did you know that after his receiving revelation from Gabriel, he thought he was demon-possessed and tried to unalive himself multiple times?
Really?
Did you know that, Crishaun?
I feel like I've heard like something like that, but I don't know the full story, to be honest.
Yeah, it's narrated by Ibn Ishaq. It's one of the Muslims say anything authentic is inauthentic, but by their own standards, it's an authentic account. But I don't know any prophet of God that after meeting an angel thought he was demon possessed and tried to kill himself. Unalive himself. My bad, Hake. Do
He
you
was
guys know of
probably-
any
I don't
he
like
was
the
probably
term
actually-
unalive. I don't like the term
It's your show.
unalive.
I don't like it either, Hake. I just use
Yeah,
it to be
but
polite,
I appreciate the sensitivity to protecting the channel. Definitely.
Yeah,
Nice.
no
maybe
problem.
maybe
So-
he was just demon possessed, and then he later interpreted it as, oh, wait a minute, I talked to an angel.
Do you
Because
know
if you
any?
look
Assuming that we take their narrative at face value, do you know any biblical prophets that thought they were demon possessed or try to kill themselves after being confronted by an angel?
Not that I know, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. it
Okay.
sounds like it's not something that an actual prophet would think.
Right, like if God was giving you his revelation through an angel, and in the account, actually, he ran to his wife Khadijah crying and asked her to cover him with a blanket. I'm not joking. That's how afraid he was. So that's kind of what I want to impart today, given the underlying ideology of Islam is based on this main revelation that, on its surface, viewing the context, isn't of God, or at least the God of Abraham. And we know that by referencing the Bible and the accounts of when angels did basically, let's just say Gabriel coming to Mary. Yeah, she was afraid, but the angel said, "Do not be afraid." And she was immediately relieved. Or when
I got to move
Daniel
forward.
I get where he's
Perfect.
going, though. I
Anthony?
get what you're saying.
You guys get what I'm saying. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Hake. Thanks, Crishaun. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you,
All right,
sir.
brother.
A quick,
Interesting. I got to look that story up. I didn't know about that.
yeah.
What were you gonna
All
say?
kinds of stuff. I have a few super chats. David asks, is Crishaun a dispensationalist? Crishaun. A dispensationalist. Are you a dispensationalist, Crishaun?
I'm a Christian.
I don't even think that he knows what that is. Oh, do you think Israel is God's chosen?
I mean, not like the way that he probably thinks. Like, I'm basing it off of the fact that they're the only tribe to accept,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's what it means.
Okay.
So just because other people or even some Jews took it the wrong way and they kind of think it's like means they're superior in some kind of way, that's not what it means. So
they are God's chosen, though. Like this Israel over there.
yeah,
those people
Oh well, the Israel
and
like that
the Jews.
exists today.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
exactly. I'm just basing it on sort of like our ideologies, our values lining up.
Okay.
The fact that they also help us in many ways and they share with us, like all the stuff we talked about.
All right.
So again, anybody that's mad about it, like explain what do other countries do for us that even compares to Israel? And where do you value all the stuff that they do for us? What would you value it at in dollars and cents?
Nice. Evil is still real. It says stars spin in different directions when you cross the equator. Moron. Save up to take a trip to the southern hemisphere. Moron, Robert. Says evil is still real. That was awesome math skills, he says. Some awesome math skills. Crishaun, Jesus talks about himself being in his own story pretty much every time he spoke. Says evil is still real. And Israel rubs our palms with our tax dollars that were sent to Israel under false pretenses, Tyrannosaurus Rex, who also says JFK was murdered for requiring AIPAC to register as a foreign lobbyist and for opposing the Dimona nuclear site. So says he of JFK's assassination. I don't know. I have heard
There's so many different
recent
stories
things.
of JFK's assassination. I don't know what to even believe. Sorry, Hake, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with you jumping in there. Israel's murdered Americans, presidents, and others for opposing their agenda. I don't know about presidents, but I wouldn't doubt that people would kill to try to get their way, including them.
They just always spurg off with the same nonsensical points. It's so boring.
Anyway.
Your worldview is boring. How does that feel?
Dang.
And it's losing the masses.
Oh, he said you're mad at God is a cop-out for your failure to know biblical history, by the way. Anyway.
I'll explain where I was wrong, and then we could have a conversation. But I'm willing to be wrong. That's fine.
Unfortunately, I have 30 seconds to wrap up, which means I cannot get to Ken in Houston, Texas, who wanted to talk about the purpose of the Bible. That would have been awesome. Maybe tomorrow. Not yesterday. Rick in Hampton, VA wanted to talk about the Trump ceasefire. And Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation, thanks for coming on. And thank you guys, the Super Chatters supporters. I'll have to read the rest later. and get to your calls another day. No anchor, baby. Peace in the Middle East, guys. Or
Much
at least
love.
in your
Thank you,
hearts.
Hake.
Thank you,
Appreciate
man.
you, brother. Yep.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Snake Pit.